Hi, this is Drewscape, and I've recently gotten back from a holiday in Perth with my family and also Roger's family. I'm presently recovering from a flu, so I do sound a bit congested. Actually, I got the flu after I got back from Australia. So in this video, I'll show you the sketches I did during my vacation. Now, learning from my previous experience going on holidays with kids, which you can see in my previous video about my Phuket Racha trip, I learned that going on a holiday with kids, I can't expect to draw that much because it gets a lot more challenging to find time to actually draw, and younger kids need a lot more attention. So in this trip, I decided that I will not expect to draw that much. And as for the drawing style, in terms of what mediums I'll use to draw, I decided to keep it really simple. And so this is how it turned out. So it was about a 9 or 10 day vacation, and like I said, I kind of took it easy. So I drew this from my imagination, probably on the second day. So on the first day, when we arrived at Perth Airport, late at night, I was deciding where to find food for me and my family. We ended up eating sandwiches at the airport. On day 2 at the second Airbnb, there was some drama. The heaters in the place were not working, and when we brought it up to the host, he didn't reply so kindly. He actually asked us to leave at 10:30 p.m. at night. But Airbnb was really professional in sorting it out, and we managed to find a nicer place. And here I tried to translate the incident into a fictional sci-fi one, where this guy is telling these people to leave his asteroid villa. And this was my wife telling him, no, not now. On day 3 at the nicer place, Roger was chopping wood, and this was me filming him while chopping wood. This was pretty new for a Singaporean like me. Come on.
Go man, this is hard.
Go, Roger. Whoa. Whoa. This was a playground around Margaret River. So while the kids played, I took some time to sit on a bench and drew this scene. Though I had to draw it really quickly because now and then I had to attend to the kids. So on day 4, we had lunch and beer at Brewery. And I drew the brewery here. I seldom drink beer. Roger is a bigger fan of beer, but I did like the IPAs and cider there. This was a field surrounding the bootleg brewery, and I decided to use pencils to do this scene instead of pens. Here we visited the Margaret River Chocolate Company. It's a chocolate factory. In the area behind the Margaret River Chocolate Company, there was this forested area, and while the kids were playing along, walking along these logs, I drew this forested area. Eating out in Perth can be pretty pricey, so we would buy lots of stuff from the supermarket and we would go back to the Airbnb and cook it out. That night we made Mexican food. So as you can see, my plan was to just capture one highlight event for each day. Now, in one day there could be many things happening, but I had to be selective and just choose one. On hindsight, maybe I would think, I could have captured some other event, but it is what it is. During the trip, I was basically using graphite powder to do the washes over my artwork. And this is art graphite powder in the powder form, not the block form. So for example, I would draw with my Uniball Signal 0.5 pen. This pen is pretty smooth and it gives a nice 0.5 line. Like for example, I have to draw a person. Oh no, his hand's a bit short. Oh well, let's give him dark sleeves. Some contrast there. And maybe I'll just give him a, well, how do you draw a sheep? Like that? Okay. Well, maybe just like that. Oh man, I don't know how sheep legs look. Well, this one will be in shadow. Shadow, shadow, shadow. I guess the tail. So if I were to do a wash, oh wait, before I do the wash, I'll probably have to do Well, all the dark parts. The wash is just a mid-tone, so... Oh, actually I did all the dark parts already. Yeah, you're right. I did all the dark parts already. So the wash, supposing here, supposing the light is coming from there, I guess this would be like that, and half his face would be there. Yeah, there's a horizon there, some bushes. So I really like the variation in tones this can give me. Even if it's a circle and there's a shadow there, if I add some hatching, just add more graphite to make it darker, comes out pretty well. Squeezed. There we go. Yep, some finger smudging. It's nice. One of my personal pleasures during the holiday was to find coffee cafes in the afternoon. This was one of the coffee places we found, Obisan Coffee. This place is also a roastery, and among all the coffee places we found, this coffee had the nicest flavor. So as you can see, I listed all the different things that we did during the day, but I only could show one highlight event during the day. And this one was when me and my wife stopped over at a farmer's market while the kids were asleep at the back of the car, and my wife bought some mid-June dates, and we were eating the dates in the car, and we called it having a date in the car while the kids were asleep. So we were at Donnybrook, and you'll notice that the lines are slightly different here. That's because I was using this new fountain pen I got from AliExpress. It's a place where I can get pretty inexpensive China-made stuff, and this fountain pen was like $5. It's a screws-on cap, and it's a fude nib. So if I were to draw with it, this is how it works. Kind of works pretty well. Goes very thin and goes very thick. And I did the wash with graphite powder. For lunch that day, we went to Cafe Tiffany's, which seemed to be a tribute to Audrey Hepburn. Their cakes were pretty amazing. This was during the farm tour that morning on day 6. While the kids were feeding the animals and petting the animals, I was trying to draw them as quickly as possible, though to different degrees of success. Here's a pony. The goat kept on moving, so I had to draw multiple poses. The thing that wasn't moving was this lime, so I would call this still life. I went back to drawing a pony. After a while, I decided I would just stick to things that were not moving so much, like this scene around the farm. So I captured this the best I could, but I felt that this was a bit too dark because this was further away. I felt that it could have been a lot lighter. So the things in the foreground could be darker and the things in the background could be lighter to depict distance better. So that's critiquing my own work, and that's how I learned. This was during one of the nights at the farm stay after the kids had gone to sleep, and the adults could have a peaceful conversation. And this was my wife at the kitchen. I was using graphite powder. I was pretty much using graphite powder to draw most everything, and I drew the lines to just accentuate certain details. So this was the reverse way of drawing, where I do the wash first and then the lines later. On day 7, we went back to Perth City. We visited Kings Park and we ate at Grilled Healthy Burgers, which I drew here. I managed to just draw the counter. Oh yes, and I drew the burger here. They had meat that was from free-range cows, and it tasted pretty good. I saw I had rumors that parking downtown was really pricey, but this was the first time I experienced the fare. It did come up to $20 for just parking for 1.5 hours. We brought the kids to Caversham Wildlife Park where they could feed the kangaroos. We found that feeding kangaroos was not always that easy. In fact, this kangaroo seemed to just like leaves from the tree. I was trying to draw this koala, which was sleeping, and I had to draw this quickly. And halfway while I was drawing this, it woke up and walked away. At night, we found Angelo's Pizza and Pasta. This pizza shop was started by Angelo, and now his son runs the shop with his mom. It's really cool that they had an old school arcade game machine in the store, and the pizza was pretty amazing.
Good.
And here I was trying to draw my son Toby as he was playing the arcade game. This is Pac-Man. Kids keep moving, so I had to draw multiple poses of him. On day 8, my family and I were at a mall. This is something that we often had to do even on the other days of the holiday. When we see a kiddie ride in the mall, we would sometimes have to carry our 2-year-old and run past it without him seeing it, because if he sees it, he's going to be stuck there for a long time. And in this instance, we had a plane to catch. Now, because I was only capturing one event for each panel, I couldn't capture a lot of smaller nuances, so I continued my comic with small things that I learned during the trip. So I learned that during a trip with Roger's kids and my kids, kids can be really noisy all the time. If I were to pay attention, there's not even a minute of silence in the house when we are back at the Airbnb. And the holidays with kids is pretty much watching them play, like bringing them to the playground or bringing them to the park, giving them a fun experience, making sure they eat their food. So holidays with kids is pretty much for kids, and it's not so much about going to places where I'm personally interested in going, like really nice bookstores, because when I brought my kid to a bookstore, he kept on wanting to grab books, and I was afraid that he would ruin the pages, so I had to take them away from him, and there was a bit of a scuffle, and I had to quickly leave the bookstore. Looking at the popular food around the streets, there was a lot of fried food and chips everywhere. And for me, I'm a bit more conscious about eating food that will not increase bad cholesterol. So I had to look a bit harder, and I did find food that was actually more wholesome. At nights, my 2-year-old would sleep between me and my wife, and he would make lots of noise, moving up and down, going somersaulting in the bed. And I would wear earmuffs, and it would help me sleep a lot better, so I found that earmuffs really make a big difference. And on the plane ride back, I noticed that almost everyone was looking at their screens, watching a movie or a TV series or something. And I had this thought that we humans constantly need or want stories, and we actually crave it. So this is how it looks like all put together. There's some pictures here. These pictures were done in Singapore. This was a ruined sketch, what I did in Perth at a playground. Goes to show that not all my sketches turn out right. The farm animals here, the comic here, and the comic here too. And here are the Caversham Park pictures. Yeah, so I just jump around like this. So that's how I kept it simple. I just used a gel pen, water brush, and graphite powder. And sometimes I would use a fountain pen. And also, if I couldn't capture a scene, if I didn't have time, I had my hands full with the kids, I just wouldn't stress myself in drawing the scene. I would just let it go. And I could just draw it as a memoir comic after the event happened. That kept it a lot more enjoyable and less stressful. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. And if you want to learn how to draw quick and simple while on the go, like on a vacation, check out my Skillshare course. I added the link below.